The church fell into stunned silence as tears streamed down Isabella Lane's cheeks. Her white gown, tailored perfectly around her wheelchair, now felt like a cruel costume in a twisted play. The man who had promised to love her forever stood tall at the altar, his jaw clenched, eyes full of cold resolve. "I can't do this," Logan Grant said, stepping back like she was something to be feared. "I can't marry someone like her." The words echoed off the stained glass windows, slicing through the quiet reverence of the sanctuary like a blade. Isabella felt the air leave her lungs. She wanted to believe she'd misheard him, but the horrified gasps and whispers from the pews told her otherwise. Her fingers tightened on the bouquet in her lap. She stared at the man she thought she knew, the man who had knelt beside her 6 months ago and slipped a ring on her finger. His face now was alien, contemptuous. "You said it didn't matter," she whispered, barely able to speak through the lump in her throat. "You said you loved me. I thought I could handle it," Logan said, his voice void of sympathy. "But I can't. I can't spend my life with someone who needs so much." And just like that, the fairy tale she had dared to believe in crumbled. Then, the heavy wooden doors of the church slammed open. Heads turned. A murmur of unease swept through the room. The silhouette of a man filled the doorway, bathed in the sunlight from behind. Tall, broad-shouldered, impeccably dressed in an expensive black suede, he stepped into the aisle like he owned it. It wasn't just his presence that disturbed the crowd, it was his reputation. Dante Moretti. His name was the kind people whispered in cautionary tales. The kingpin of a criminal empire that spanned the coast, a man who made entire neighborhoods fall silent when he passed by. No one knew exactly what he'd done to build his empire, but everyone knew better than to cross him. So why was he here? Isabella froze. Her body, already trembling, felt ice cold. He moved with purpose toward the altar. His expression unreadable. His gaze? Locked on her. When he reached her, Dante knelt. Right there, in front of hundreds of stunned onlookers, the city's most feared man brought himself eye level with a woman rejected at the altar. The church was so silent they could hear each other breathe. "Isabella," he said. Her name sounded unfamiliar on his lips, foreign yet oddly tender. She blinked, confused. "Do I know you?" "No," he said. Then, without another word, he slid one arm beneath her legs and the other around her back and lifted her out of the wheelchair. She gasped, instinctively gripping his shoulders. "Put me down," she protested. But he didn't. He turned and walked back down the aisle, carrying her as if she weighed nothing. "My wheelchair," she stammered. "Nico," Dante said calmly, and the older of his 2 bodyguards moved to fold the chair and follow them out. Outside the church, a black limousine with tinted windows waited. As Dante slid her into the plush interior, Isabella could hardly speak. She'd just been publicly rejected, humiliated. And now kidnapped? "This is a mistake," she said, panic bubbling up. "You don't know me. I don't know you. I don't owe you anything." Dante looked down at her, his dark eyes unblinking. "No mistake," he replied. The car pulled away. In the tense quiet, she looked around. The younger guard sat across from her, one hand never far from the bulge under his coat. The older one, Nico, kept his eyes on her with measured interest, not judgmental but not warm either. "Why me?" she finally asked. Dante didn't answer. He just reached into his jacket and handed her a silk handkerchief with the initials DM embroidered into it. She hadn't even realized she was still crying. She took it. "Thank you," she muttered automatically, her voice numb. They drove out of the city, past the suburbs, into forested hills. Eventually, they reached a long, private drive. As the iron gates opened and the car pulled through, Isabella caught sight of the mansion. It was massive, walled, guarded, beautiful in a cold, Gothic way. But it wasn't the building that scared her. It was the feeling that this man, this dangerous stranger, had planned everything. "Why am I here?" she asked again. Dante's voice was low. "To protect you." "From what?" she demanded. "My life was fine before you showed up." He didn't answer. Inside the mansion, she was carried up the steps and into a sitting room. Nico unfolded her wheelchair and set it gently beside an ornate velvet sofa. Dante lowered her onto it carefully, as if she might break. An older woman entered, stern, silver-haired, her posture like a general's. "Sylvia," Dante said. "This is Isabella. She's staying with us. Prepare the East Wing." Sylvia gave Isabella a look that was not unkind but appraising. Of course, she said. Shall I bring her appropriate clothing? Isabella almost laughed. She was still in her wedding dress, for God's sake. After being shown to her room's luxurious suite, more like a hotel penthouse, Sylvia helped her change and brought her dinner. Despite everything Isabella ate, she was starving. Grief and confusion hadn't dulled her appetite. That night she couldn't sleep. The next morning, fresh clothes arrived, all in her size, all tailored to accommodate a wheelchair. The closet was filled as if someone had known she was coming. You've been preparing for me, she said to Sylvia. The housekeeper didn't answer. Later, while exploring the house, Isabella found a hallway lined with photographs. Unlike the art elsewhere, these were personal. Children. Orphanage buildings. A small girl in a wheelchair. A skinny boy always nearby. Always protecting her. Her breath caught. That's me, she whispered, staring at the girl. And him. Yes, said a voice behind her. Dante. You remembered? No, Isabella said softly. But I do now. They had known each other. As children. At St. Matthew's orphanage. He'd been her protector. Her shield. Her only friend. And then one day he disappeared. He showed her a box of trinket hair ribbons, little gifts, a bracelet she made for him when he turned 14. She called him Danny back then. I left to protect you, Dante said. The director was going to sell you to men. I made a deal. I'd go instead. But I swore I'd come back. And you did, she whispered. The rest unraveled slowly. He'd risen in power, built an empire not to dominate but to ensure no one could hurt her again. He had watched her from afar, funded her education, bought her apartment, orchestrated her opportunities. When Logan humiliated her, Dante couldn't stay in the shadows any longer. You saved me, she said. But who saved you? No one, he replied. In the days that followed, they found a rhythm. Meals together. Quiet evenings. Books shared. The boy she once knew was still inside this dangerous man. Then came the threat. Castillo, an old enemy. Ruthless. Sadistic. And now aware of Isabella. Victor's fortress wasn't enough. Castillo breached it. Attacks. Fires. Bloodshed. Chaos. Isabella, no longer a passive target, activated the trap she and Dante had devised, disabling Castillo's men with gas in the library. She escaped through a secret tunnel as gunfire tore through the mansion. Victor faced Castillo alone. Hours passed. Then he returned, bloody, injured but victorious. You could have died, she said, tears in her eyes. But I didn't, he replied, and for the first time he said it. I love you. So she stayed. Not out of pity. Not because she needed protection. But because she loved him too. Weeks passed. Together, they began to reshape Dante's empireless blood. More strategy. Isabella, now his equal in both name and role, transformed the household. The guards respected her. Sylvia took instructions from her. 3 months later, Dante offered her everything, not just his fortune, but his name, his legacy. And she said yes. Their wedding wasn't about tradition, it was about truth. In the gardens beneath the stars, Isabella in a gown that honored her wheelchair, and Dante in a suit tailored to his scars, they spoke vows that were anything but typical. He promised to stand beside her, not in front of her. She promised to accept him, darkness and all. And when they kissed, it wasn't a fairy tale ending. It was a beginning. Because theirs was never a love story of ease. It was a story of war, of memory, of loss and reunion, of equal strength in different forms. They weren't perfect, but they were perfect for each other. And that was enough.